You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
Well, rolling Drinks and a Movie podcast. What's up, everyone? I'm back with co-host Matt.
What up?
And we're going to be talking Kevin Smith's An Unlikely Film by that Kevin Smith.
The Reyes.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob. Dick Joke Kevin Smith.
2011's Red State. But before we get into that, we're going to be doing a little set of three bourbon whiskeys here.
This is exciting.
This is a RD1. I believe this brand was founded in 2020, so fairly new. I got this little 3-pack at that Mezcal tasting event.
Okay.
I went out, there wasn't a lot of bourbons there. It was mainly tequila mezcal, but this was one of the brands and I tried it out. I dug it. So I bought this little 3-pack here. But so I don't have their flagship bourbon. I just got their fancy little finished ones. Oh, excuse me. So the first one is Kentucky Straight Bourbon finished with French oak. This one is coming in at 101 proof.
Okay. Have you had RD1 before?
Yeah, okay. I had their flagship and I've had these three.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we'll start. I'm going to finish off this Granddad.
I'm going to go just a taste. He's got 3 bottles here, folks, so we got to pace ourselves. Okay?
Yeah. I'm bummed that I don't have the flagship just because I'm always curious, like what exactly the difference is with French oak. And I've read about it before, but I forgot. So I'm sorry, everybody, that I'm not about to give you some knowledge.
Is it from France? I mean, is it oak that's grown in
yes,
France?
Yes,
okay,
it is. It is oak from France. And it's finished in it because to still be considered bourbon, it has to be brand new American oak. Yeah. I think it adds a little extra spice to it, but we'll see. Let's just go right out the gate here.
We did a little warm up on OGD, so a little palate cleanser for myself.
Yeah,
because I had downed about 80 ounces of Diet Coke before this. So. Always appreciate that. And actually, the more we've done this, by the way, if you're going to do like a tasting, or if you want to get like a legit understanding or like a legit taste experience of the palate cleanser is a must.
Yeah,
I've really come around to that.
Yeah, it's good to just get yourself acclimated ahead of time.
I didn't get much from the nose.
Yeah, it's definitely like more ethanol forward.
Yeah,
right now.
that's why I was just literally just kind of the.
Yeah,
I was going to say alcohol, but ethanol would be the more accurate.
So I believe these are just minimum 4 years old. I don't know much beyond that.
I don't know if it's something candied, something a little sugary. Maybe it's just the straight up sweetness of of maybe the barrel, but I'm getting a bit of sweetness in something. I think it is caramel. Actually, the more I'm going through it, I think it's a bit of caramel there that I'm getting at least.
Yeah. No, it should be. I get like a very light wash of that, but it's mainly just some bitterness. I'm guessing that's the French oak. Like, it's pretty light as far as texture and flavor. The finish is not too long on this one. Yeah, I get a little bit of like a bitter taste. Definitely an oaky vibe, but something a little different, French as opposed to what we're used to.
Yeah. Without
like the kind of leathery note you might get off of one that's like older, This is
probably an unfair comparison, what I'm going to say anyway. It reminds me a bit of Blanton's in that like there's nothing hugely distinct about it. There's nothing like specifically coming through that I haven't tasted before. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
No, that's a good way to put it. I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't have much else. It's not bad, but I just don't have much to say about it.
Right.
It does have a bright, almost mentholy kind of vibe to it, just a little bit.
And actually, now that I think about it, if it's one of those things that if you're newer, you might be okay with something like this because it's not too overly strong in any one area kind of thing. So
yeah.
Okay, what are we going with next?
This one is now Amberana finish.
What the hell is Amberana?
It's a Brazilian wood.
Oh, no shit.
So this is the first and only Amberana finished I've had. And in the last year or two, this became like really popular. I guess a lot of different distillers were putting out Amberana finishes. And I haven't tried any outside of this, but I only know that because like Bourbon Pursuit and all the whiskey tubers were like talking about all the Amberana stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey finished with Brazilian Amberana wood. Now we're at 110 proof.
Okay, so up and there.
So here we go, Amberana.
This is definitely going to be the first one I've tasted that's been finished in Amberana. Did they say so? They don't even say how long it sits in the
No, I should have looked that up. My bad, but I believe it's supposed to give it a more spicy characteristic. So let's see.
This one's a little different than the other one we had.
Yeah,
I'm getting actually a nice sweetness on it.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, it's cinnamon. That's what it is.
Cinnamon.
Yep. I like that. It's got a good nose, and actually something that I'm getting from it. I mean, that's just it's nice to actually have one that's filling up the nose.
Yeah, and like apple chips.
Oh, there you go. Maybe. Yeah. Something a little sweet there. Maybe a pear or something like that. No, I agree with you. More apple. Yeah, apple cinnamon. That's
Like dry for me.
Yeah,
like dry,
yeah.
like an apple chip. Like if you open up the little bag.
Right. Yeah, dried out apples.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Now it's kind of coming to life a little. Like the more I nose it, the more that the
There's a
apple
lot
kind of
going on.
comes to life.
I like this nose. So that's got. I mean, so
It's getting better and better.
it's the same recipe. It's just finished a different way.
I believe so. Yeah,
Wow,
I think
that's wild.
the only change is the finish.
The nose is completely different.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. The more I stick my nose in there, the more it actually, there's
Yeah.
a lot going on. That's actually
All
pretty
right.
cool. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
So I did get some of that cinnamon up front, actually. Or spice, but I think it's cinnamony.
Yeah, definitely cinnamon spice.
Yeah, literally. Cinnamon.
Ooh, on the finish, on the back palate, and as it goes down,
Still there.
now it's some of like the cinnamon sugary note. It's like having a churro. I can't roll my R's.
Yeah.
A churro. Can you roll your R's? Can you say it right?
Yeah. I mean, churro.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right.
I can't speak the language, but my Puerto Rican mother, that's the one thing she gave me. I can roll my R's.
So that's good. You wouldn't even know how terrible it is to not roll your R's and how much shit you gotta take.
You might as well burn in hell. I mean, you just,
Yeah. I'm gonna
Sorry.
drink myself to death. Yeah, here we go. Second sip though.
I teach high school, by the way, and I teach high school at a place where over half the population speaks Spanish. I get so much shit for not being able to speak Spanish or having an accent, and all that kind of stuff. It's all done very, it's very well. They care about me enough to actually make fun of me,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, God damn it, I'm disappointing my mother and my whole that side of the family. That's what I think in my head all the time.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit more, man. That it's cinnamon spice in the front, and on the finish is where the sweetness comes out. Like the cinnamon sugar, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's really
and it really kind of sticks with you as it goes down. I dig this one a lot more than I remember.
I'm going to take a picture of that one.
Yeah,
It's just got a good sweetness that could definitely be like a dessert, an after dinner pour. I mean, fell of it just by itself. I like the sweetness.
Yeah, and that's an easy crushable 110 proofer too. I was thinking this was like 100.
Oh yeah, you'll get in trouble with this really easy.
And yeah, it's not to say that it's overly sweet. I'd say it's like really well balanced.
Yeah.
That cinnamon sugar note on the finish is just perfectly subtle, and the spice in the front it's nice. It's nice to go from spice into sweet and still your typical kind of bourbon quality notes. Yeah. I only had this the one time, and this is better than I remember.
Where have you seen the RD ones?
These are not hard to find. Like you can get this at Total Wine right now for like $70, I want to say.
Okay, that's fair.
And they have these little 3-packs too for like 60, 70.
That's kind of cool. I dig the 3-pack thing because especially if you've never had it before, if you're
Yeah. At that event, I got to taste all of them, and I was like, damn, I kind of want to get one bottle, but what am I going to get? And he's like, we do have the 3-pack. I was like, what? And I figured too, I'm like, well, this would be good for the podcast.
Yeah. I went back to the nose again. It's still damn good, man. It's getting sweeter. And now all I'm getting is apple.
Cinnamon apple, yeah.
Man,
but like, it's funny. It's not like dry necessarily anymore. Now it's like a fresh.
This is cool.
It's like it's like if you had a baked apple with cinnamon all over it, and also, in the crumble. And then you have like a normal, just like fresh apple garnishing the top of it.
That is a great way.
It's the best of both worlds.
I'm gonna save some of that for the a little later here, because damn, that's good. I don't want to waste that.
Well, and pour as much as you want.
No.
Like, I need to get rid of bottles.
But we also have a whole podcast to go here.
Yeah.
So
that's true. And then another episode after this. All right. So this next one should be interesting, and it's the lowest proof, so maybe we should have done this first, but I wanted to do it after because this is a finished in oak and maple barrel. So double oaked and maple.
Okay.
So we're coming in, I think, 99.9 proof. So not that bad. I thought it was like 90 at first.
I still do have at least I have some comparisons for double oak, like that one, But maple, okay. I swear I've had something finished in maple before. I know it's not the same thing, but I like maple syrup is like one of my favorite things in the entire world. So
Oh, you should definitely like this then.
yeah, I've if you're out there, if you cook it all, candying nuts in maple is a great way to sweeten up nuts. So if you do candy, if you candy your pecans or anything like that, maple is a great way to. You can do it with a bunch of different stuff, but maple syrup will, without a doubt, add to the sweetness right away. So.
You ever make old fashions with maple syrup instead of simple?
I haven't yet because in that case it gets a tad too sweet for me. Mm-hmm. So I have had an old fashioned with a slice of maple bacon in it.
Yes, yeah.
Which was actually pretty surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be.
Very good,
So,
yeah.
But I haven't done the For me, when I'm making a beverage, too much sugar kind of kills it for me a little bit. But
Right.
I know sometimes that actually makes it a little more approachable for others. So I can definitely get the
Definitely
maple.
smells like maple. Yeah.
Like right away. That's pretty cool. That like distinct. I appreciate the fact that each one is very distinct. Okay.
Yeah.
So like this one definitely has the maple right away. Also, when we cook maple bacon in the house smells like maple bacon for the rest of the damn weekend.
Oh, hell yeah.
You didn't visit these guys, did you? No, this one you haven't. Okay.
No, it was just at the event.
Just at the event. Okay, I'm going in. Definitely. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than it noses like maple.
Yeah, it smells like bourbon and maple syrup. It tastes like bourbon with a hint of maple syrup.
Yes, I would. This is most definitely it's very straightforward. In fact,
it comes off on the finish again in a nice way where I don't think it's overly sweet, because that's the tricky thing where sometimes these, it's like you don't want it to just taste like a flavored whiskey. You still want it to be bourbon. This is very much still bourbon. And I like that more. The maple characteristic comes across to me in the mouthfeel and on the finish, which is cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting it on the finish.
Yeah, it's like I just finished taking a bite of a pancake, but not like literally. It's like the aftertaste,
By the way, just to tell you how out there I get, I actually have bourbon maple syrup. So it's
okay.
Yeah. Other than the hint of maple syrup, it doesn't seem that much different than the French oak finish to me. So it's pretty close.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's cool. It's like a good one to try out. And again, that's why I got the little small bottles.
Yeah.
Because I dig it. I do. And I think it's a good conversation piece to share with people. But yeah, I don't know that I would drink like a whole bottle of this.
Right.
Now the Amburana, this is one that eventually I think I might get a full size.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a picture of that one. That's that's a winner.
Yeah.
Just because it's got, to your point, and not so much with bourbons and whiskeys nowadays, but I have had flavored stuff, tequilas, other things that. Okay, I'll be that guy for 1 second. What's the peanut butter whiskey? The
Screwball.
Screwball. That goes a little too far for me personally.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, that's actually an approachable way to whiskey, which I totally respect and everything. But for me, that goes a little too far into the flavoring. This is, when you barrel it, it's so much more subtle. And that's actually, that was a good mix of it.
That's what makes it nice. Yeah. And, for anyone who doesn't know what we're referring to, Screwball is a flavored whiskey. It's a peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Yeah.
And, I'd be curious to try. Well, have you ever tried the Knob Creek smoked maple?
I haven't yet. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't tried that. Have you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've almost thought about getting it just so I could have all of them.
Every single Knob Creek flavor ever.
But I would never ever drink it. I think it's really low proof, like 80 proof. And obviously that one's
makes
a
sense.
flavored whiskey.
Yeah.
But I imagine in an old fashioned, it's probably a banger. Or just on ice, like just ice and bitters. You probably don't even need to add sugar to it.
Totally.
I would guess.
And I was at a thing this weekend, and people were actually they were mixing the Screwball, and I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me actually when you start mixing it with this and that. And all
What
that
are they
stuff.
mixing it with? I'm curious.
Oh my gosh, what was she mixing it with?
Because it's peanut butter flavored. So
Yes.
what would that?
There was something. It wasn't a cider. It was one of those flavored.
Like a seltzer or
Oh,
something?
it was this is wild. Espresso martini.
Okay.
So
okay.
probably like Starbucks
So
coffee.
like
That's
a
what I
coffee
think.
kind of with the okay.
And as she was passing it around, people were all digging it. So my
Yeah.
guess is it tastes like Starbucks. That's
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I was almost wondering if it'd be some kind of fruit flavored concoction, like a peanut butter and jelly kind of
Oh yeah, I didn't even thought about
cocktail.
that. That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I totally respect that kind of stuff. For me, when I'm beveraging, if it gets too fruity, it's not for me. But like, on the other side of things, I totally respect that people find their beverage that way. I mean, might as well live it up.
To each their own.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Just don't do a prank on someone where when you're working at the bar, you guys do shots every once in a while, and the shot you do is Bullet Rye, which is a pretty strong rye, but then they pour you Screwball instead, and you just take it and shoot it back. I was like,
Did you gag?
I did gag. I was like, that was like the first day we got it, like when it first
hilarious.
came in.
Yeah, that's been around too long.
Yeah.
So that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it was a good joke. I was the right person to do it on.
Well played, Monty. Well played.
Yeah. But yeah, man. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, our RD1, again, we did the French oak, the Amburana, and then the maple. I think our favorite's probably the Amberana.
for sure.
These are all, from what I've seen, pretty easy to find out there.
Good.
So yeah, give it a shot. Anyway, let's talk about it, man. Red State from 2011.
See the face of Jesus on my way tonight. He says to me, old sinner, come on in. I see the face of Jesus in that great white light. And my Savior makes me whole again. In his shining eyes, in his shining eyes, I see the promise of all forgiveness to set you free. I see the face of Jesus on my way this night. And my Savior is there to comfort me. I fear God. You better believe I fear God.
I texted Rudy the other day, dude, Red State is fucking awesome. Or what? Something of that nature. I'm like, this movie just feels so underrated. Or not even underrated, just kind of lost in the diaspora, or even in the, in the pantheon that is Smith's filmography.
Yeah, it does feel like it pretty quickly fell into obscurity. And I'm gonna read about it, just the synopsis real quick. So, set in Middle America, a group of teens receive an online invitation for sex, though they soon encounter fundamentalists with a much more sinister agenda. So this stars, John Goodman, Melissa Leo, Michael Parks.
Parks kills it.
Michael Argarano, sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Nicholas Braun, who was just in Succession and Saturday Night doing a lot of shit. And then Kyle Gallner, one of the kind of big horror movie guys of the last 20 years, most recently in Strange Darling. Favorite movie of 2024.
Not to mention the Breaking Bad cast that shows up at this. Badger and
that's right. Anna Gunn.
Sorry, just so many people.
Kevin Pollak. I forgot. Stephen Root. I forgot he's in it.
There's also Carrie Bechet, who, if you've watched Halt and Catch Fire, which is a show I just freaking love, she's one of the stars of that. So, just so many. How many people end up in this film is kind of wild. So
it was crazy to see where I'm like,
Kevin Pollak is in it.
Yeah, there's a couple of these people that are famous now. One who was famous and kind of disappeared after winning the Oscar, Melissa Leo.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But
no Jay, by the way. There's not even Smith. Apparently he did cameo, but I don't remember seeing him in the film. So
this was that interesting time where, it was that post View Askewniverse when he kind of closed the book on it with Clerks 2, and then kind of went on to do others. So he did Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which was kind of outside of that, like a new He did Cop Out, which was him not writing but directing a kind of action comedy with Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. And so it was interesting for him to do this. And I remember seeing the trailer and hearing about it and being very excited because I'm like, this is so we're gonna see him do something like really different. And man, I think he executes it very, very well, which is really cool to see. And it's funny because, he's a very self-deprecating person, especially when it comes to his directing, which is fun. It's like, how can you still self-deprecate when you gave us like Clerks, Mallrats, and then this dude, like the same person? I mean, I hate a couple of his movies that came after this.
For sure.
But that's just me.
That's the thing. I haven't met somebody who can honestly say they've enjoyed every single one of his films.
Right.
And at this point, I've seen them all, and I am like the biggest diehard fan. I've gone to see him speak. That's a lie. I'm not the biggest diehard fan. Huge fan of Smith. So I'm very biased when I'm taking a look at a film like this. Did you get a chance did you watch The Roadshow? Because this film only came out in theaters for a week at New Bev, apparently, of all places. And I don't know if it was Quentin's theater at that point, but
he was the landlord at that point, but not like as deep into it as he is now.
So you saw it in theaters.
I did. I was about to ask you that if you went to the Roadshow and saw it.
I must have been working at the time because I totally would. This is totally the thing I would have, and I don't remember why I didn't get there. But I remember being because I'm on his website, I'm on his Twitter. I know everything that's going on with it. You hear about all this stuff where he does the auction and then he buys the film himself, or just all this kind of funny stuff. In my opinion, funny. I'm sure it wasn't funny to him at the time, but maybe it was. I don't know. But so you did. Wow. Okay. So what was it a packed house?
Yeah, no, it was a full house. I don't remember if I feel like I must have taken one friend with me. I don't remember who. But he was there, so he talked about it after. So
you saw the Roadshow. You didn't see it at New Bev.
I saw it at New Bev. Like
when he was touring with it.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. So that was one of the screens that he played it in for a few days a week or whatever. But yeah, he announced it in the beginning. He came back, he talked about it at the end. I even had a little camera with me and I got some footage. I have it on
cool.
I have the footage on a hard drive somewhere.
That's so cool.
But I remember one thing I remember clearly him talking about was just the whole idea of, he's like, I just wanted to do something different and write it in a way that would keep the audience guessing. And it would be one sharp turn after the other. And I remember as I was watching it, it really felt that way.
Dude,
the whole time.
It doesn't even sound like
I'm like, where's this going? Like, what are we doing? Like, oh, now it's this. You think it's this movie, and then the movie keeps kind of changing. And he even brought up how he's like, yeah, you guys remember that moment when John Goodman gets on the phone when he wakes up and suddenly it says 4 a.m. or whatever. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, we all forgot. He's like, yeah, I just thought it'd be funny to put that in to like make you think, and it like never comes back.
Right.
But just to get the audience like, okay, like time's going to be important. It's 4 and now like the clock's ticking, but it never even comes back. But the movie is so engaging that I don't know if you forgot, but I forgot about it. I forgot that he did that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That was like the least thing I remember.
Yeah. Like, so when he mentioned that, I just thought that was funny. Like, wow, like you can do that. You can just break the rules. One other thing too, this is jumping the gun, but
go for it. Yeah.
I remember this so clearly was he talked about the original end he wrote.
Yeah.
So originally he wrote that when the horns go on and the sounds, which was really crazy in the theater because I'm like, is he really going to do this? And he's
especially after seeing Dogma, where God literally comes down. So you can totally expect something like that happening.
And just in this movie alone, it keeps like switching up on you, so anything can happen, right? He sets that up early on, like, really no one's safe, anything can happen. And he said that originally he was going to do that. Like it was going to be the Horseman and Rapture and all that. But then he realized, he's like, well, if I end it that way, then what am I saying? They're fucking right? Like they were right to do this? So obviously he changed it. I don't know that that's the message I want to put out there.
I think that's such an interesting point too. So I did watch this. I can't remember where it released first on digital, but unfortunately I had to watch it on digital, but I remember watching with headphones and everything. And at the time, the previews that we got, and of course, if he released a preview, I was always watching it. We knew that he was doing something different. He had told us he was doing something different. The trailers showed us we were doing something different. So I went in expecting something different. Watching it now, and I literally just watched it twice in the span of 3 weeks, and it's really interesting how different it is from everything else he's done.
Yeah.
It's not just first of all, the structure is great. It is 90 minutes of just something is happening every beat.
It went by real fast, dude. Because you know, I was like, I think I'm gonna watch Django Unchained and this back to back. I did in fact do that. I stayed up very late. But this movie felt so quick. I was like, fuck, it's already over. And it felt so fast that I watched the making of after too for another hour and a half. So I just didn't sleep. Yeah.
I've got the Blu-ray and I haven't watched that. But like I was looking down when the shooting starts, and that's like around 30 minutes or so. And I'm like, holy shit, everything that's happened in just the first 30 minutes of this movie is nuts. Like to Kevin Smith's point, there is literally there's a turn literally every few minutes, which is, I think, super sick. In addition to that, I was really appreciative of like, his characters talk in his movies, even if it's Walrus or if it, is that
Tusk?
Tusk, thank you. Even if it's, or his more modern movies, people talk. And in this movie, it is very economical with his dialogue, except for Parks' character, which it works perfectly for. And he doesn't sound like a typical Kevin Smith character, or at least Kevin Smith characters we've seen before this. And so that's why I was just really appreciative of how this is what I think is so interesting about the film. It's so different. And if you weren't a Kevin Smith fan, this is a film, let's say you were into horror, you might be down for it, Yes. Or if you were into something off the beaten path, this might be something you're down for,
Yeah, when the teenagers are talking in the beginning, like it sounds very much, this is the Kevin Smith dialogue.
Right.
And when you get to the Michael Parks scene, who crushes it in this movie.
What a performance.
Dude. Yeah.
At the time, he was so out there trying to get this guy an Academy Award nomination. I can understand why.
Right, yeah.
His performance is on. In fact, all the performances are actually really good in this film. His is next level.
Yeah. And just that whole monologue, the sermon he delivers. And, watching it again the other night, I'm just like, damn, like Kevin Smith wrote that shit.
Dude.
Like it just...
that every word was written because he's so anal about his
right.
Self-admitting he's anal about his words, So Super interesting.
And then the way Michael Parks really brings it to life, in one of the interviews he was talking about how he watched real footage of the guy it's based on, the Fred Phelps or whatever.
Interesting, yeah.
And he says something about like, God, it's just so boring and all that, like just the worst. And then, but it never feels boring in the way in the way he interacts with the kids and just the way the people are like, that woman's knitting and like, praise Jesus. And just all the shots of the audience listening, they're so into it. And they're like in their world, the heroes, right? And he's almost tries to be like endearing at first, you know, you don't know necessarily it's going to be all, I mean, obviously we know because they're rolling up Kyle Gallner in a goddamn cage, and drugging these boys, but until it gets to the part where he's like, can you take the babies into the back? It's about to get grown up in here.
The thing I love about a lot of the church scenes too at that point is that it doesn't feel like anybody's overplaying it. So like, I don't know if you know who Ralph Garman is, you know. Just
and I forgot he's in it.
Apparently he's in every Smith film. But like, once again, here's a person who quite often does characters that are larger than life. And all of these characters just feel very grounded and nobody's trying to play above. Like it's there to support, like we're supposed to believe that this is normal for them. This is like, you know, this is all in support of the pastor's, unfortunately, his message and everything. And those little things, having a cast that is that supportive of, I think just really helps sell the effect. I was really appreciative of all of these supporting cast members, what they were bringing, because it didn't look like anybody was phoning it in as well, which is like adding to that believability. And I can only imagine what it's like to play some of this really off the wall shit where you got somebody cellophaned on a cross, you know, at the head of the rectory here. So it's just super fascinating, super really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man, he really pulls you in with that shit. And it gets so dark, dude. And I kind of like that he says the way they catch these. He's like, he's like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll play part of the clip.
Right.
I'm not going to do a Michael Parks impression.
No, he's just too good, right? And then the performances of the boys, though, they seem like how you would really be in this situation.
Yeah.
Freaking the fuck out, but real freaking out. And I thought that was actually, because, you know, they're set up to be annoying high school boys that, you know, you're like, just shut up, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they pull it off legit. And the fact that we end up killing one very quickly, like it really sets the stage for anything gonna happen. I mean, actually, let me rephrase that. Him in a cage sets up for anything really happening in this film. So.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And that's another tone setter where when the first dude, Nick Braun, what was his name? Like RJ or something. The one with the mullet. Yeah. He just gets shot in the head immediately. Like, and when he gets to the armor, he's got the gun in hand. Let's go. Like, and I appreciate that. You know, to what you said, the realism of them freaking out and how like they're terrified for their lives. You buy it. Like they turn into children real fast, and that they don't suddenly become superheroes or gunmen. You know what I mean? And even though the other dude, the second dude who gets out and he has the rifle, like he never takes anyone down. Yeah. He's got the gun, he's thinking about it, but he's like, no, here's my opportunity to run. And I just remember how shocking it was when he just gets shot down. And when you see it was the sheriff that did it, and you're like, God damn it.
I also thought it was kind of cool and interesting just to, you know, Kevin did some action in Mallrats and Dogman. Some of these other Jay and Silent Bob there was a lot of, and a lot of times he approaches it a little bit more, I would say, comedically or like comic book style type of things. And in this one, he leans into, I mean, this feels very much like it, you know, it had a very grounded, realistic feel to it, which just makes it even more horrifying, you know, kind of thing.
Like a lot of the, like just the use of handheld and even the fast shutter speeds and Snoricam and all that. And I think we got to mention too that Dave Klein shot this one, you know, who shot Clerks and I think Mallrats as well.
He didn't get to do that one.
Not that one.
He came back for Chasing Amy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
studio wanted a studio guy for Mallrats. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, and that's why he was off like quite a few of his movies, right? And from what he says, Harvey Weinstein was like hell bent on like not allowing him to do it for whatever reason. Yeah. And having his,
because he probably wanted a professional, not just one of Kevin's friends or something stupid shit like that. Yeah.
Even he was the most professional one of all of them, which is for funny. Real. Yeah. Like the one who actually like studied and did the work, you know, not that they didn't do work, but he knew if it weren't for Dave Klein, Clerks would not have happened.
Oh,
you know? He had the technical know-how. And
you look back at it, it's perfect for that film. You know?
Yeah.
Anything else might have felt out of place for that. Anyway, that's beside the point.
yeah. But I think he did a lot of like action type stuff and still does in that time. So it's cool to see that. And you know, the use of, they shot this on the Red 1, like the original Red camera.
Yeah.
And
did you notice some of the rolling shutter?
Yeah. Oh, a lot when he's like.
I don't normally notice that, but because it's like early version of the Red, you could. It's one of the things I'm like, oh, dude, that's some rolling shutter right there.
Yeah. But what's cool too, and because people are like, oh, make a big thing about the rolling shutter. Like, if I didn't know that as a camera person, just watching it, I wouldn't even. In
addition, I think it actually fits really well. The only reason I bring this up is because at the time, Kevin had mentioned, I don't know if this was his first film he shot on digital, but it was, you know, not everyone had adopted digital in 2012. We're still kind of developing, you know, and the film for the most part looks freaking great. And that's a testament to, I think, the DP, David Klein, but all of that, those handheld moments, they're really, and even the camera angle he's choosing to do some of those handheld moments is super interesting. Parks's monologues, sometimes he shoots it from the lower angle. Like there is just some really great choices as far as cinematography goes in this film, you know? Don't want to downplay that at all. Yeah. So even though it has it,
they used a lot of the Canon 7D as well for like the Storicam stuff and a lot of the handheld. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those rolling shit, because that's when
I bet you
the first dude is like running through the house, which is like really intense. He's like trying doors and they're not working. And we'll cut to the other guys.
He's probably holding the camera.
Like, I think that was all that stuff, and especially being in the hallways. Yeah, that probably was the 7D too.
I bet you it is.
Yeah, because it's quick shots.
That's not even a full frame. I mean, that's a tiny sensor.
That's the APS-C. Yeah. And which makes sense because that's really close to Super 35, which the Red would have.
Interesting.
And man,
it adds perfect. I mean, it's so great having the wide lens on there and everything. Like it does a great job of everything on that.
And that's when, you know, you can really tell like really great cinematography, color grading, all that, where like, if I didn't know for a fact they use both cameras, I would not have known. I would have just thought it was all on the Red.
And Kevin does union shoot, so he can do what he wants in this. And him and Dave chose that was a choice that they to choose that as their equipment, not something else. And I always love that. That's like intentional, and it really fits what the story is trying to convey in there. That's great choice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, one thing that was really cool about this movie too was, you know, just John Goodman being in it. Because I feel like this was in a period where he wasn't really doing much. And I feel like after this movie, you saw him a lot more over the next, 10 plus years.
I was thinking when he appears on screen for the first time, you mentioned it, 4:36 or whatever the hell it was at that time. There are so many actors who do this really well, where they just bring a legitimacy to the part or whatever that character is supposed to be. I immediately believe he is this ATF agent who's probably been doing this for a while, knows the bill. And I think this all goes along with, I love characters who are written that they're very good at their job. And he's the kind of actor who brings that weight and that legitimacy to that part right away. So you don't have to do very much. Literally just put him on the phone and you've already got me as an audience member believing what he's trying to sell. So,
that's really well said. Sure. Yeah, that's really well said.
It's just great. I mean, I could watch Goodman in it. I just think he's such a really great actor. But that I wonder, I'm curious if there was any, I mean, we don't know unless Kevin Smith has said something about it. I'm wondering if anything changed because he got him for the part, because he doesn't have to do too much to set up the whole thing, and then he ends up becoming kind of our audience surrogate throughout the rest of the film, He's going to be the guy who walks us through the rest of the story. So good stuff. Loved it. I could watch him all day, and I'm a little bummed that he hasn't been in any other Kevin Smith films still. And so I know, if we ever get Jay and Bob 8, I hope Goodman makes a return because he's great. So
shit.
I said too much. I should have.
No.
I mean, for the most part, when he shows up after this part, it mostly becomes a gunfight for the rest of the film. Like if you think about it, and we're going to lose characters here and there. We do get some humanity in there where, the mom tries to get some of the kids out. Some of the stuff that just makes the story way more, makes it very interesting in some small details. But it just reminds me of how well the film is made, that all these pieces make sense and they're all there to push the story forward and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he takes all the sharp left turns, but it's still cohesive. Right. It's not like it just doesn't make any sense and it's shit happening for the sake of happening,
This is so funny, but the first time I was watching the film, in my mind, I'm like, oh, dude, Kevin has something to say. First of all, he titled the film Red State. So you're already just putting a target on the film. But then through every little piece, like, I feel like there's an opinion about how government agencies treat situations like this. I feel like the film is saying something about cults and religious groups, and then saying something about motherhood, or how sometimes your duty as a parent does supersede some of your duties that you feel to the bigger picture of things. I felt like that he was trying to say a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with the mother too is she was diehard God or whatever to the end. It was the daughter that was.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about because
was trying to get the kids.
She's
out.
not the mother of those kids.
No, it's her
she's
cousins
just the daughter.
and her sister.
Okay.
Because
Those are Melissa.
Melissa
kids.
Leo,
Gotcha, okay.
and she's good when she's freaking out, like, "How dare you betray? You get on your knees and pray."
Dude, Leo is so good, man. Dude, she just plays a very believable. I shouldn't say authentic. Very authentic to what.
She feels very real. I mean, they all do. Like, all of them just feel complete. And Michael Park's son is in there too.
Oh, was he one of the kids?
Yeah, he's one of the.
Was he the guy with the glasses?
Not the one with the glasses. He's he's the one with the beard and like the vest. Yeah,
okay,
he's also in like Tarantino's movies.
Yeah.
He's always the other cop with them.
Also, there's another good. I forgot the guy who plays the sheriff who gets sideswiped, who's drinking, ends up
Stephen Root.
Stephen Root, dude. Stephen Root is such a good guy. It's so fun to see him nowadays show up and shit because once we talk about bringing authenticity, I feel like he carries some of that weight sometimes as a character actor.
I completely forgot that he was in it.
Same here, dude.
It's funny too how they build him up in the beginning like he's going to be an important character, and then he just gets sidelined and then killed,
and then blasted,
just blown away.
He starts the shooting,
and just gets shot at while he's sitting down in the car.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Because they set up the whole like his wife and the whole. Oh, they've got photo evidence.
It's going to be a thing, and then he almost takes his own life. The whole thing. Yeah, like there's going to be some weight to this. Yeah, and then he's kind of the buffoon character.
Yeah. It's so wild.
Yeah. Just so many good decisions. I don't know if Kevin will ever approach a film the same way. He doesn't seem interested in this, in trying something like this nowadays. But it's awesome to see that he is capable. He's so self-deprecating sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think this is absolutely evidence that the guy can make films. I also look at so many of his other films that I feel actually are very well put. Chasing Amy and Clerks and other good ones where he'll mock his own cinematography, but those films called for that type of cinematography. Yeah. And so I just if you ever think that Kevin Smith, I don't know who is out there that doesn't think Kevin Smith is actually a filmmaker or a good one or anything. You watch a film like this and it'll immediately change your mind.
Yeah. It shows that he does in fact know what he's doing as much as, what I love and appreciate too is he's very much like Robert Rodriguez, where they both throughout their careers have still retained this indie film spirit.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like when I see a recent interview with Robert Rodriguez or whatever, he still kind of like talks and approaches things the same way he did when he was like in his 20s. And I feel like Kevin Smith is the same way. And he's been on a bit of a roller coaster career wise. And I think it's gotten him back to being that way even more, where he's still doing like pretty small movies and he's got enough fans to like make sure he can keep doing that. And he puts all his emotions and everything on his sleeve, and it doesn't always hit, but I appreciate it so much. And I'll always go and watch his stuff because of that, because I know it's like whatever you've written, it may not be the best screenplay of all time. It might be cheesy, whatever, but I know it's like purely from his heart. And it's like really great to see because I feel like we don't see that as much anymore. I think he's one of the few, I'm going to say auteurs, like, I know we think like Kubrick and people like that.
This guy makes Dick and Parcho movies.
Yeah, but
I agree with you. I would put him He makes what he wants to. He made a fucking film about a guy in a walrus, who
he does what he fucking wants to do, no matter how crazy it is, which is cool. And I think we need more of that,
I'd also respect this. We live in a place where a lot of people have made their living, working in the industry, and a lot of that is not around like it used to be. At the same time, I appreciate, like you said, Robert Rodriguez, Kevin Smith, who instead of spending $20, if they only have to spend $5 million, they will. And that's kind of tough because that means less people are working, which always sucks. But at the same time, it means you get to make films like Red State that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise if you wouldn't have taken less, And I continue to respect that. And you're right. Robert Rodriguez talks about it still today. Kevin Smith still talks about it today. He knows how much he can make a film for, how much he can get financed and all these kind of things. And I think that's unique. It's sad that that's unique nowadays, And I hope that doesn't end up always being the case because there are so many cool pieces of entertainment we can get nowadays if we just decided to make it for this instead of that, And so that's to this day, that's why like you said, I was one of those people in the film or, in the theater watching Tusk because I want to make sure stuff like that still gets made,
Yeah. Oh, I was there too. I hated every moment of it.
Most people
I was there.
I was the one guy in the theater in that one, unfortunately, but I wish I would have got to see this one, but
Yeah, no, it was cool. Thinking about that, like low budget movies and cool directors, like I would be really interested because how nowadays Martin Scorsese has to go through like streamers to get enough money to make movies. Like I would love to see Martin Scorsese make like a $4 million movie, like
Mean Streets, what
would he write about and what would it be? Who's going to be in it? Is De Niro going to hook him up? And do it anyway?
Well,
Paul Schrader write the script? I don't know. Like that would be cool
Taxi Driver's a great example. Where it's like they didn't spend a ton of money on it, but you can do a lot with just I'm curious if he'd be. If that's something he's even interested in nowadays.
Yeah,
so.
I would love that. I wish I had a shit ton of money. Like I was a billionaire and I can just call up these directors and be like, I want Chris Nolan, Martin Scorsese, and David Fincher. I'm gonna give you guys a $2 million budget.
Yeah, what can you do?
What make a movie? I just want to be
like, why would I do that?
Yeah. Just do it for fun.
Just the film stock alone, buddy, because we're shooting film is gonna ruin
even better. I want to see Scorsese make a LA apartment drama. 2 characters.
Well, I know it didn't cost that, but Zemeckis just made his film that was, basically one set.
Here, I finally watched that the other day. It's all right.
Okay, I haven't seen it. I want to see it. So I think it's out of theaters already, but is it still
it came out in like November. But I feel like it was only out for a week or two.
I felt like that one came and went.
It bombed and like just kind of disappeared. Like they were definitely thinking that was going to be award season material. And I don't think anyone remembers that movie.
I saw the trailer. I'm like, I want to make it. Only because it's an idea I had 10 years ago. So not to say he stole it from me. I just thought this would have been a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I couldn't.
No, it's worth checking out. I watched it last week finally.
Interesting.
But yeah, shit, man. I don't know that I have much else to say about this. Like,
it's on Amazon. You can watch it literally if you've got Amazon. So like, it's an hour and a half. You will not regret. It's really good. And thanks for taking the time because I was like, this is such a good movie. Maybe Kevin's best made movie. Like I think it's tough to deny all the parts really fit together really well in this one. Maybe not my favorite, but definitely I think one of his best. So,
do you have a favorite? Like a definitive favorite?
Clerks and Chasing Amy are tough for me to beat, man. Even to this day, I go back and watch Amy, and I know some of the references and things are dated in it. I keep, Clerks, I still keep going back to it, and I'll still laugh at Clerks to this day, man.
Yeah.
And it's very well done.
I think my definitive has to be Clerks, and I think it was I watched it at the exact right time in my life.
Same here.
And that was the most important.
Yeah.
I think that it just changed the game for me.
What's kind of funny is nowadays I actually watch Clerks 2 just a little bit more often than Clerks 1 because I'm a little bit older. So I'm relating to what some of those characters are going through. And if he ever makes, or I shouldn't say, if Clerks 4 ever comes out, I'm about 10 years younger than Kevin, but I'm curious if I'll get it in a few years after. I don't know if I'll ever do it. But sorry, spoilers. Clerks 3 shit happens. Okay. So anyway.
All right, cool. Well, that's a wrap on this one, everyone. Red State. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks and a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksandamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.